Welcome everyone, today we have another guide for Diablo 4 and also the open beta. And this video is about gonna be speed leveling up with the Barbarian. In this video, I have prepared lots of notes for you guys and they're quite detailed. So I want to cover a lot of things, including my small tips and also methods, and also even tips like, setting up a pathway on the minimap. And notice that I can set up pathways. So a lot of ways you can level fast and gain more experience and do more things in the game. So I want to share all of this with you guys, especially including the pathing choices with questing, unlocking teleportations, doing what dungeons and also strongholds. And of course, we'll talk about the skill trees for how you want to perk different ways. For example, if you get certain items, how you want to perk for this. So the example I have is going to be for the item that allows me to gain Fury with Rent. It's tremendously faster having this item and also legendary effects if you do have for the Rend and also Bleeding build. And similarly, if you do come over to this weapon, which allows Whirlwind to have increased critical rate up to, from 16 to 64%, I've seen this up to 80% as well with a perfect roll. So those weapons can change your build and make your leveling and also progressing so much faster. Now, of course, I know not all of us will get legendaries at the very start of the game. So this build, I'll go through step by step of which perks you want to take at what stage of the game for the Barbarian, for the fastest leveling and also progression to level 25. And at the same time, if you guys want to see how to get full of your legendary gears after level 25, I did just post a video before this. Now I realized like, hey, why don't I make a video about leveling? This will really help because I made a lot of mistakes during my leveling progress. So coming over to our notes, I'll briefly touch a few of the minor tips and then we'll focus on the big ones. The first one is make sure you guys start resetting your skills before level 10 if you're playing a new class, and should be free. And after level 10, even up to level 20, it is quite cheap, so you can be resetting a lot. And this means you can always try to have at least 2, 3 or 4 active spells on your slots, or even 6 active spells. Because it's so cheap to reset them. Almost every level before level 20, I was resetting my skills to get a perfect efficiency of build, combo, enjoyment, and also progress. I even went for a bit of Thorn build as well, which I'll show you guys very soon. And depending on the weapons you get, you can always adjust your build. So do this before level 20. After level 20, it will be a little costly after doing that each level, and you pretty much have the goal and also the pathways of the skill tree, which I'll show you guys in the video as well. Now the second part, do keep in mind guys, you're here to play the beta for enjoyment and also testing things. Whether your enjoyment is combining different skills or you want a faster clear and also faster leveling for damage, make sure you enjoy the game. So don't let me just tell you how to play, right? Make sure you enjoy the game. But certain legendary affixes, like the one I showed you earlier, like the one over here with a massive Fury gain, can be really good in terms of leveling in the game and in terms of progressing. And it makes the game a lot of fun because you get a massive power spike. Now, one of the bigger tips I want to share with you guys is, for Barbarians, we're actually quite slow with leveling. And at the very start, you do want to collect as many herbs you see on the way, once you get to the Frosty Mountains. And once you get enough herbs, make sure you come to the main city, which is, you unlock this quite often, right? If you haven't, you make sure you do. And if you have, come over to Baraka and you want to be crafting this for the Barbarian. This actually makes your life so much easier. So you want to craft the weak Iron Bark potion. And this one's the cheapest to craft. It gives you 50 armor and also 25 Thorn. In the first few levels guys, I just stand there, everything dies. This is so good, you also get bonus experience. And this can get you through the harder parts of Barbarians as you get the Thorn. And I even perked into a few points of Thorn myself. So enemies range units die in 2 shots when they attack me. And this is really good. Later on it does fall off, but I still prefer to use this one or maybe the increased attack speed one. Those two are really good for the elixir. And make sure you always have those on during going to dungeons and also fighting other monsters. So the 5% bonus experience will save you maybe half an hour in the day. It's a surprise, right? Now, one very big highlight I do have is, before level 20 or even after level 20, every level as you level up, your gears that was dropped to you will be upgraded. And sometimes they have tremendous powers even if they're magical, and they can give you a boost of damage, especially DPS, or maybe in terms of stats, or maybe in terms of bonus damage. So always check your inventory. So after level up, you probably looted all the gears. Always check the inventory to see if the gear itself has a green plus. So here is a plus 156 with armor and a lot of good item power. Sometimes I look for the high armor because we're melee, and also I also look for high damage burst and also skill synergies. And this one's not bad. Once you got Berserking, I almost always stays in Berserking for this Barbarian, where is the core skill. Now, I do want to give you guys an additional note on the using the rings and amulets. Usually I go for bonus damage, for close or distant bonus. And usually for barbarians we go for close damage bonus, right? I go for slow bonus damage and vulnerability bonus damage. And I do try to get all my stuff. So you can see I have slow enemy take more damage, and also for crowd control. And here I do have another crowd control. It's harder to roll for those, and this one I didn't get it really once. But during the time I was leveling, I actually had some really good close-up bonus damage and also vulnerability damage. So very similar to the weapon I had here, tons of bonus damage, which was really helpful. Now there's a very small tip I wanted to mention to you guys. It's about setting pathways on the minimap. So what you do is you can use right click on the minimap and set a pathway for your character. So let's say if I want to go to a certain teleportation point, I set the path point, so this way I know the shortest route to take. So this will save you guys a little point as you travel through the map. So use the right click function, guys, and get yourself going. Now coming over to two of the big parts. The first part is how are you going to do your questing and also your pathing, and then we talk about the skill tree. We save the best last. So with pathing and also leveling, I recommend doing the main quest. So as you do the main quest, you can start with J and it will be in gold, right? Do the main quest that is available. So the main quest will take you around the place. As you go around the place, you want to open up teleportation points, you want to collect side quests. You don't have to, you don't have to finish all the side quests, only if it's on the way. Ideally, you want to be doing the dungeons. They scale with your leveling, and the legendaries you get from the dungeons can be, made into aspects of codex and can be used later for upgrading a legendary. So this item I had here for my barbarian was initially a weak legendary that I upgraded into a level 25 legendary with a golden item. So make sure you always, do the dungeons when you're nearby. Try to clear as many of those as you can. But one thing to notice, you make sure you have enough skill points and also gear power spikes to do the dungeons. So if you feel the dungeon a little harder, continue with the questing a little bit, maybe get after level 10 or maybe even level 11 or 12, then start doing the dungeons. And once you find yourself able to do the dungeons, start looking into the strongholds. There will be 3 strongholds in the first zone. Level 10, level 12 and also level 20 will be the minimum level for all 3 of them. So it's pretty well located. The first one is located around... the first one should be located around here as Moloch. Oh, Manak, I can't pronounce. So the first one is located over here. Once you get a teleportation here, you do want to perk and start, clearing the dungeons and do the main quest. And as you do the main quest, you come over here and clear out the stronghold if you can. Why do I say that? Is because the stronghold can be a little hard, because you will always be 1 level higher than you, and try to have, at least close to 5 active skills activated if you're doing this, because you need everything you have. Very soon we'll talk about the skill choices as well for those. And similarly, after you clear out this stronghold, the next stronghold you want to look for after level 12 will be located over here. So you can come to the south of the city and go upwards to come to this stronghold. And this one will be Nostrava. And finally, the last stronghold will be the one on top. And for this level 20 stronghold, it's quite challenging. I died like 5 or 6 times, and this is definitely recommended after level 20. I did this one level 25. Now, one of the reasons we're doing things this way is you get the most rewards in terms of your reno and also get your 2 bonus skill points very fast. So the dungeons and stronghold will unlock this, and this gives you a boost in terms of skills and also skill points and power spikes in terms of next perk of actives. And this is really important in terms of leveling choices for your questing and also events. Now finally, coming over to the skill choices for the Barbarian for the speed leveling. I'll recommend is that because I have been playing Try to Survive on the veteran mode for a little more challenge, and my choice of skills and path will be focusing on doing good damage while staying alive. I don't like to die a lot because I have to run back, right? Now if you do play on the easier difficulty, you could perk into more damage passives and also more skills, and you don't have to perk as many defensive passives. But it is really nice, especially once I get my build going. So I have so many legendaries now, right? So what I mean by having my build going is I have 2 skills that gives me unstoppable and makes me super fast, and also heals, I gain resources, I get really better, I get really good with those skills as I get more items as I perk into them. So let's go to the skill tree, let's go through everything. Now, because it is quite costly for me to reset now, and I'm also running out of gold as I test things, notice it's a 2800 gold at level 25. So what I do is I'll use the skill tree calculator as an example for you guys. So you might have seen me using this a lot in the past, and this is actually updated after the beta. Now, during this, you can use the search function to search for a few of the key skills. So what we're searching for is any of the upgrades of the legendaries you get for the key skills. For example, this particular weapon over here for the Whirlwind bonus critical chance will help you to build a Whirlwind build. And similarly, this item over here, if you do get this item, which gives you more fury with Rend, this will allow you to build a Rend build very fast. So some of the codex you can be looking for during the whole leveling process will be the 4 over here. So here is the Rend one for slacking aspect, and although they say you can be found in certain locations, the legendaries can drop this one in the first location. So the next one is the Whirlwind. It's not 5 to 20%, but 20 to 80% critical chance. And the next one is going to be the Hammer of Ancient, and the last one will be the Upheaval. And those are the 4 core skills you kind of want to build into as you spend your resource for Fury. So coming over to the level 1 skill tree, what I always recommend is it's much faster to go with a Frenzy. And if you go 1 point in Frenzy, you unlock the next part. And here is your choice. You can try any of the build before level 10. And quickly I tried the Whirlwind, but I run out of Fury, right? So I recommend the Rend because this does the most damage to boss. And initially, you don't have problems with enemies. And if you go into 1, 2 points in Rend, 3 points in Rend, and 1 more point in Rend, this is actually the most cost efficient way to get most out of your damage. And then you come over here. I recommend going into Rally Cry right away after level 7, so level 8 Rallying Cry. After Rallying Cry, you have a choice. Are you taking more damage from enemies, or are you wanting to do more damage? So if you are taking more damage from enemies, what you can do is you can go right away into Iron Skin level 9, and after that, Iron Skin, and this is completed, you can also perk into the passive for damage reduction. You get 3 stacks of Frenzy, this is really good. After that, make sure you perk into Rend, and then at this point, what you can see is, you may be thinking, hey, you have Frenzy and have Rend, right? So after around level 10 and level 11, you do a reset. So right after that, so you do a reset, you perk into Free again. So this is the first, I guess, flexibility. And you also pick Flay into the bonus of bleeding. And at this point, your Rend should be pretty high leveled. And over here, you still have your Ready Cry, and you also have your Iron Skin. Now, at this stage, I find myself still dying a little more because the difficulty, and I'm still getting used to it. But if you want to do more damage, definitely perk into the Rend to deal more damage to enemies. And there's 2 choices. As for the Rend, right, I recommend to do more damage, you actually want more Fury. So when you're hitting lots of enemies with Rend to gain Fury, this is really good. And this is one of the reasons why I really like this item, because I gain a lot of Fury just with this item. So once we have perked into the passive for Rend, what you're going to notice is you open up Brawling, and you want to get as many actives as you can at the very start, because you can always reset, before 20 was super cheap. So 1, 2, 3, 4 actives, right? So what I recommend is you go for Leap for mobility, you go for Warcry for more damage. I tried both to see which one you like. Leap was actually not bad, but in the end I was like, oh, I'll just scream Warcry for more damage, right? And you can do this. So all of a sudden you have a lot of past actives, and this allows you to clear dungeons and do things faster. During this time, if you have a difficulty with bosses and challengers, what you can do is you can take away the Warcry because it doesn't help you survive. You can perk into the 2 perks I have over here, and those were actually helping me survive until level 20. Just one level into Rally Cry and 1 level into Iron Skin. With the Iron Skin that heals you, well, Rally Cry gives you the bonus Fortify. Those 2 makes me super durable. See, even right now with my build, I still use this level 1 in Rally Cry and also level 1 in Iron Skin. The same perk I'm telling you guys to use at the start. Now as we go further, because my build, I did perk into the Rend build, and what I did was I went with Rapture, and then after with Rapture, I am still counting my points, right? Remember, I'm always resetting them. So after Rapture, I'll go here, and after that, I'll go for the attack speed. Sometimes when you Rapture enemies, you don't finish them off. And this is the time, I guess, you want the attack speed because you want more resource in terms of Flay to gain more Fury and also bleed enemies and make them vulnerable. and after that you'll be doing more damage with your core skill. So even if Rupture don't finish them off, I still prefer to have the attack speed than the Rupture that hitting enemies to restore life. It is preferable though, but it's up to you. At this point, I kind of want to 1 point into bleeding slow, and then I want to go into the critical damage bonus to take me to level 24. So one of the reasons I'm doing this is just show you guys the stats over here. So damage very slow, 32.5%. So while enemies are slowed, I deal bonus damage to enemies 32.5%. And if bleeding always slows for this passive, it's actually a really nice bonus. And here we always have, when enemies are kind of slowed and crowd controlled, you also gain bonus critical strike, which is really good. Once I get to level 24, I go into the Wrath of Berserker and I finish off over here for my level 27. And just to show you guys, this is exactly what I did. So I'll show you guys over here. So this is exactly what I did over here. You might see some random skill points, and this is one thing I want to highlight. Because as you play the game, you will be getting items that gives you random skill perks. For example, this gloves gives me +2 rend, +2 whirlwind. Sometimes this can help you transition into a build for a stronger build. My rend is currently at level 7 out of 5, so this means my rend is super strong, with 879 bleeding. So this can give you the power spec you need, even though it's not a legendary. And of course this happened to be a legendary, I found this much later, right? But there's a lot of items that can be great depending on what they give as a bonus. And here I also have, plus levels on whirlwind, which means if I get a whirlwind weapon, like this one over here, I can go with the whirlwind weapon. Now before we finish, because the skill tree I use is actually quite flexible and defensive for me, of course you can perk into other skills if you run into challenges or if you want to move faster. Ideally, my movement skills are coming from Rally Cry and also Iron Skin, because I think I was quite lucky to be able to get the skills that allows me. So here I have Iron Skin gives me Unstoppable, and the passives for the Rally Cry itself also gives Unstoppable, and together with the 2 Unstoppable that's available for our class, it is actually really fast if you rotate them just for mobility. I'm just screaming as I walk around, it's actually not bad. And I even tried the increased duration to shots. I did multiple shots, but it turns out having the Iron Skin as a defense skill is actually much better, and I do survive much more frequently. So hopefully you guys found this guide helpful. I did make a lot of mistakes when I was testing this, but once I know exactly how I want to plan how I do this, I want to make the guide for you guys. Hopefully you guys can level up fast with the Barbarian and really enjoy the Barbarian. And our next video, that's right, it's coming guys, I will share you the full Barbarian build, my thoughts, and also my planning to the different perks, what sockets I'm socketing, of course damage over time, right? And what do? I even have an invulnerability, which is really good during certain bosses. I'll show you guys on the next video. Now before you go, and if you guys didn't know, we have a new YouTube channel. So I just started a YouTube channel with my girlfriend yesterday, and you can see this is only 12 hours old, this YouTube channel. And if you guys haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe and check out the behind the scenes and also fun clips and also more stories about us. And then you get to know me a little more personally instead of just reading the news and also the games, right? So I want to share a little bit more with you guys. So make sure you check this channel out if you're interested about Matt and also Uni. She's really funny too, and she's really shy. So I want to give her a surprise and do a shout out for the new channel to get some subscribers. Thank you guys. I'll see you guys next time.